All right, this is Coach McCarthy. Greetings and salutations. So this is our unit about place. In our previous unit, we talked about product, and we talk about price and promotion, kind of as we're going. So review as always, place, how it's going to get there. And we're going to talk about how it's going to get there and who's going to help you. So where it's bought, how it's bought, and we talk about you want to put it where people are going to see it. Okay, that's going to be the big impact of selling your product, that it's in the right place, where people are going to see it, where they're going to go look for it. And when we talk about delicate or perishable items need special arrangements for how they're going to be shipped. Maybe a special shipping person is who you're going to be looking at. And that's kind of what we're talking about today, our intermediaries. So we talk about our distribution channel, and that's the route that it's going to take to get there. And the two things that we talked about, direct and indirect distribution. So direct, going from the producer to the consumer. Indirect, there's people and there's steps in the process. Other people are involved. Now, the key thing to take away is when you get other people in there, people don't work for free. And this is what we're going to talk about today, of who these people are, this wholesale retailer, and we're going to add another one into it today. And finding the right distribution channel. This is what we talk about. You got to find the right people that can handle your product and can make sure it's getting where it's supposed to be. So today, big word, intermediaries. So also included in the channel, your distribution of how you're going to get things there, are the intermediaries that are involved in this movement in any capacity. So anyone between the producer and the consumer. Those are our intermediaries. Okay, it could be a store, it could be a shipping company, it could be maybe someplace that's just going to hold your product for you. Those are intermediaries. They're between the producer and the consumer. So once you start getting into intermediaries, you have established indirect, because it's not going directly from the producer to the consumer. So when we talk about intermediaries, being third-party companies that act as, so they can do a lot of different things. All right, it's not just this one thing is intermediary. It could be a lot of different things. And I'm actually going to go kind of in a. We'll start at the top. Okay, so we talk about agents. So businesses or individuals that assist in the sale and or promotion of goods and services, but do not buy them from the producer. So the agent isn't actually going to buy anything. He's going to be the one on the phone call trying to set things up for you. Okay, so I make a product and I want to get it out there to maybe the West Coast. I might call an agent and say, hey, can you help me out with this? Do you know any companies, and do you know any distribution? Do you know any shipping companies I can rely on? All right, and then I'm pretty much going to hang up the phone. We're done with our conversation, and I'm going to let that agent do their business. And that's what their business is just try and connect people and connect the dots for me. That way, I don't have to worry about trying to do it. Now, this is great because he might open up a lot of new channels and new places for me to sell my product. But the bad part is he ain't doing it for free. So I have to pay him. He's going to take a cut of the profit that I'm making off my product. So while it can be good, and this is the thing we're going to touch on a lot, those intermediaries can be really helpful and beneficial, but they don't work for free. So the next one we talk about is a transporter. So businesses or individuals that assist in moving the products. So this is going to be your shipping companies. They're going to move the product from point A to point B. They don't have any. They don't care about where you're storing it, where you're putting it. That's not what they do. All they care about is loading it up on their truck and taking it from point A to point B for you. And if they have a guarantee, it's probably only going to be during that. Okay, we're going to take your lobsters from Maine and we're going to ship them out to Kansas for you. All right. I will guarantee you that it's in my truck and that it's at the right temperature and that I can get it from, Maine to Kansas, and we'll say 3 days. All right. I don't know exactly how long it takes to get out there, but I can guarantee you that. And I'm a specialist at that. That's what I do. Now, when it gets out to Kansas, I can't do anything about where it's going or what store or where it's going to be stored at. That's not me. I'll help it get there. So the next one that we talk about is a warehouse facility. So businesses or individuals that store items. Okay, so the main thing with the warehouse, they're just a big building where you can store something. So we come back to our example, and probably not a good one. So we might change our product for what we're selling. So I make chairs. I like chairs. So I make chairs in Florida. And I have some business that I do out on the West Coast, in, we'll say, Washington. So those are pretty far places apart. Okay, so if I make all my chairs and I want to ship them out there, that's a lot of back and forth and in between. And maybe I sell I sell some chairs, and we'll say Texas too. Okay, so a good place for me, I need a warehouse. I don't want to have to ship always out to Texas or Washington. It's too much. Maybe they're only ordering, 3 or 4 chairs at a time instead of a truckload. So what I might do is find me a warehouse that might be in the middle. We'll say Colorado, close. Probably not perfect, but close. So maybe there's a warehouse in Colorado that'll hold my chairs for me. So I can ship a whole truckload of chairs out there and let them. They'll hold them for me. They're going to make sure that they're in good shape. They're not going to get damaged. Nothing's going to happen to them. So that when I need to sell them to, say, Washington, I don't have to transport them quite as far to get there. And it doesn't take as long because it's not coming all the way from Florida. So that warehouse is kind of in between to help you hold your goods so you can distribute them out to someplace else. And pretty much with a warehouse, that's all they're going to do. They're just going to hold it for you so that you can ship it out maybe to someplace that might be closer. The next thing that we talk about is the wholesaler. And the wholesaler is a business that buys goods from producers or agents and sells them to retailers. And one of the big things that we look at with maybe a wholesaler, and we talked about this in the example yesterday, the ramen noodle company, right? You can't go to the ramen noodle company and buy one pack. And you're probably going to have a hard time, buying a pallet, which is the big thing on the wood. They might only sell it by the truckload. So what the wholesaler is going to do, he's going to go buy a truckload. Okay, so the wholesaler has that whole truckload, and then he's going to start breaking it down, right? Maybe he'll sell 2 pallets here and 3 pallets there, but they're in between. So they're going to help connect the business if they're making big amounts and a large amounts of their product. They're going to help them get it out there. And who they're normally working with is the retailer. So the retailer is the business that buy consumer goods and sell them normally to the end consumer. All right. So, and again, coming back to our example of ramen noodles. So the ramen noodle company makes it, they sell it by the truckload. The wholesaler buys it by the truckload. The wholesaler breaks it down into, okay, I got 2 pallets. A truck will say, I don't know exactly, but we'll say it can hold 60. Okay, my transportation truck holds 60 pallets. So I come to your store and say, I'll sell you 2 pallets. As the retailer, I'll sell you 2 pallets. So you're going to buy the 2 pallets from me, and then you're going to break those pallets down into individual packages that you can sell to the consumer. So that's how it goes from a unit of 20 down to a unit of 1. Because as a consumer, I really don't need a pallet, a whole bunch of ramen noodles. I just need 1 package for my dinner. So the big word that we talked about, intermediaries. And with this example, it's going to be consumer goods. So producer, straight to the consumer, that's direct. Okay, so the top one is direct. The bottom 3, those are indirect because there's someone between the producer and consumer. On this one, it's going to the retailer. This one, wholesaler, retailer, consumer. And on the bottom, producer, the agent, wholesaler, retailer, consumer. Okay, and again, intermediary, anyone between the producer and the consumer. If you have intermediaries, that's indirect distribution. If you don't have intermediaries, direct, because there's no one between it. And when we talk about business goods, again, it's going to the client. So usually you don't have a retailer involved in business goods, all right? So that's probably going to be a question on your quiz. With business goods, normally you don't have that retailer because they're not involved. Businesses are buying from a wholesaler so they can turn around and sell it. And the last one that we have with services, normally the service provider is going directly to the consumer or the client. Every once in a while, you might have an agent involved that's going to help you place your service. And we have talked about that there are some services that go towards producing something else. But at the end of the day, I'm providing that service to you, and it doesn't continue on after that. And the last thing we have for today. So we talk about the price, and we've talked about intermediaries. And they're great. They can really help you. But if the price does not allow a high margin, then the company may choose to use less intermediaries in its channel. This ensures that everyone gets their cut at a reasonable cost to the manufacturer. Intermediaries are great. However, everybody has to get paid for their services. Okay, they're not working for free, just like you're not going to give away your product for free. So, and the way this kind of, to help you understand it maybe a little bit more, if I have a product and I'm create my product and I can say I can make $5 on my product. All right, that's my profit margin. Takes me $5. We talked about cost of goods sold. It took me $5 to make it. I can sell it for 10. Great. Now, if I start dealing with intermediaries, and for every product that I'm sending out, the intermediary wants $1.50. Okay, that's okay. I was making $5 minus $1.50. I might be making $3.50 now. I can probably work with that. But if I need to add more intermediaries into the channel where I did have a $5 profit, if I need 4 intermediaries, whoever those 4 might be, and they all want $1 a piece, well, now I'm down to only making $1. So that might not be the good channel. So I might use less intermediaries. And I might be able to get my product out there to a great place and put it in front of the perfect customers, but it might cost that entire $5 that I had. So I'm not making any profit. So that's not really a wise decision because we're not making anything, right? And we're not able to make anything. We're not making any money. Not good for our business model. So everybody has to get paid. So ensure that everyone gets their cut at a reasonable cost to the manufacturer, because the manufacturer is not going to lose money just to get it out there.